Welcome, greetings everyone in the world where you are today. This is the Health Practitioner Business Success Show, and I'm Karen Bartle, and my special guest today is Maggie Wilde. Hi Maggie, how are you doing?
Hey Karen, how you doing? Hey everyone.
So this is a show where we have some talented guests on this show who have been in business quite a while, enough to be able to achieve success in their business and to be able to share some of their insights and business advice to, a lot of people these days that are just starting out in business and need a bit of a leg up to help them to get to where they want to be. So that's what this show is about. For Maggie, so just share with us, for the audiences, where you are today and what it is that you do.
I'm based on the Sunshine Coast, but I actually work all around the world. I've spent probably about 15 years in this industry, working prior to that as well in this industry, but not as my own practitioner with a clinic, etc. Had done everything from kind of multiple clinics where I've had contracted out to 5 or 6 practitioners and had government contracts for Indigenous communities, and nearly worked myself to the bone and had a busy practice that nearly burnt me out and my admin staff out, right through to tailoring it right back to doing completely online. So for probably the last 6 years, I've moved my business to more online, and so I treat people all over the world. I've got clients in America, Afghanistan, Hawaii, you name it, and I do online courses now as well. So I kind of get my message out there. I still have a little clinic at home that I just do 1 day a week because I love that face-to-face interaction, and I have a big community in my local area that kept asking for it. But for me, it was about deciding what kind of business I wanted without killing myself, basically.
Yeah, when you've been there once, you don't really want to go there again, right?
Absolutely.
Let me take you back, Maggie. On this show, I love to share success, and I really do. And it's really important for the folks out there that are really just starting out to have hope that they can build a business that actually brings in some money for them. But I want to take you back to when you first started. When did you first start your practice?
I opened my first clinic in 2002, but I'd been in the UK prior to that. I was living over there, and I was doing psychology and a couple of other bits and pieces. But officially in Queensland, I opened in 2002, part-time, very part-time. I was the editor of a health and wellbeing magazine at the time as well. So I did the magazine part-time, and I had a clinic 3 days a week. And then it kind of escalated from there.
So tell us a little bit about what that was like, setting up that part-time clinic in Queensland.
Scary, absolutely scary as hell. You know what it's like that first. I think back then you didn't do social media. Social media was barely about. But so back then it was one of those, where am I going to get clients from? Yeah. Who the hell is going to want to come and see me? What? And so I put this tiny little 2-line ad in the local newspaper in the public notices, saying there was 2 ads. There was one for hypnotherapy, weight loss with hypnotherapy, or stop smoking with hypnotherapy. And just prayed nobody would call because it was like, oh my God, what will I do then? And it kind of escalated from there. It was really, I do apologize. It was really the first few clients that gave me testimonials and things that kind of boosted my confidence from there, and it escalated from there.
Sure, and I think that's what I'm hearing a lot, and certainly in my practice when I first started, getting those early successes, getting those early clients that wanted to shout from the rooftops about what you did was so important, because they were the ones, your advocates, that would recommend you to others, and that's what started. Was that the same for you?
Absolutely. And one of the things, a big lesson I learned probably a year into it, was I'm very stringent when I learn a particular technique or learn a particular study or course. I kind of follow it to the T until I feel comfortable with it to be able to play and introduce my own energy into it. And so one of the rules I'd been given in Australia with running a hypnotherapy practice was you had to do 3-session packages, and that if you can't treat somebody in 3 sessions and get the results, then you're the wrong practitioner for them. So I stuck by that for a year or so. And it wasn't until about a year into my practice that I was saying goodbye to a client who we'd had some amazing success with, and it was her 3rd session. And she started to cry and she said, "Why won't you let me come and see you again?" And I went, "Well, you can." But you stop smoking and you're feeling fabulous and you've even lost a little weight, and oh, but I so enjoy the sessions, and it's helping me with other areas of my life, and I'm getting more confidence, and so then I started to realize that I just had to judge it and guide it by each client's needs. And I built it to 6-session packages or full coaching programs where I'll do 3-month or 6-month coaching programs as well. So it's sometimes you've got to kind of step out of the rules and do what's right for your business.
Yes, absolutely. There's all sorts out there for sure. So from that early practice, part-time practice, a few clients, fingers crossed that they're actually going to come and turn up. What kind of strategies helped you to grow your business, to grow it into, it's you've done a lot in that time. So what was that? What got you from that to building that and growing that bigger?
I think staying abreast of marketing changes, understanding the shift from, I would start to see that you'd have to spend more and more on local advertising and papers and things to get the same results. So I realized that there was a shift going on. So staying abreast of the changes that were happening with social media, staying abreast of the kind of trends that people were reacting to and responding to.
Sure.
The big one for me, so getting confident with social media was a really big one, and getting confident with doing live broadcasts on social media and connecting with my audience. One of the greatest things that really shifted for me was getting clarity on the kind of business I wanted to create, because in my mind, a busy practice was a successful practice originally. And that's all I kept focusing on was, if I'm busy, I must be successful. But then I'd look at my bottom line and realize the busier I got, the more my expenses increased. And so I wasn't actually making any more money. I was just getting tired and more burnt out. And so for me, things like consolidating my business, looking at the natural trend of who was interested in the work that I was doing. So what were the natural inquiries that were coming, and looking at the statistics of that. So who was actually ringing more often, and the age, the range. So I got very particular, very specific on my ideal client. I then had to look at, well, who do I enjoy working with? So I then looked at my business and thought, well, there's my top 10 clients. If I look back over the last, so by that stage, it was about 5 years, I looked at my top 10 clients and went, you know what? I really didn't enjoy working with that person. It was a very stressful experience for me as well. I had to really help put so much energy into kind of pushing her to success, if you like, whereas this person just took it on effortlessly, wanted it, was ready for it, and absorbed it. So I picked my top, out of that 10, I picked my top 3 clients, and I based a profile around those top 3 clients. So I looked at age, I looked at gender, I looked at likes, interests, what movies did they read, what books did they read, did they have kids, did they work for themselves or work for somebody else? And then I started marketing to that person. I called her Jenny. I actually gave her a name and gave her an identity and called her that. And I just focused all of my ad spend or marketing spend and time on Jenny.
Yeah. That's great. That's a great way to do it, because then you know what market to target without having to spend tons of money,
Well, you know who you're communicating to then as well, because you know the questions they're asking, you know what their problems are and what the solutions they're looking for. And so when you're communicating to them on social media or in your ad or marketing time, then they're hearing you and you're hearing them, and they feel heard. And when that happens, relationships develop. And I even had yesterday, just by doing a live on social media and knowing what my audience needed to hear, I had 2 private messages from people who've booked $1,600 packages, because I didn't have to market to them. I didn't spend any advertising. I just knew what they needed. And that was through just getting to know who my ideal customer was and who wanted who was ready for the kind of work that I'm doing.
Yes, absolutely. Speaking their language, right? Speaking to them at the stage they're at with the message that they want to hear is exactly the way to kind of help. Yes, yes.
So when you know what questions they're asking, and sometimes I'll do a little mail out to my list, my customers now, and just say, if we're looking at emotional eating, what are the top 2 problems that you have to overcome emotional eating? And I'll get feedback from them. And, I might get 80 people emailing me going, well, these are my top 2 questions, or if I could solve these, I'd be happy. And I now know how to communicate back to those people.
Yeah, getting that feedback is important, isn't it? From our clients, because then we know what we're doing well and what we're not doing so well at, so we can do better.
It also improves our success rate with our client, because the client is ready at that stage to make the change too. And you know who they are, they know who you are, they know your work, they've been following you for a long time. And I think it's sometimes people who start out, they've been told by the school that they've learned from, or wherever they've learned from, that they're going to be able to replace their income and leave their jobs, and they'll be able to have 50,000 or 80,000 or 100,000 straight away. But it's actually, it takes work, it takes effort, and it takes learning to get to know who your customer is, and to hold that compassion for them in your communication, so that they feel that genuineness. And so a lot of practitioners give up after that first year if it hasn't worked like that. And, I just keep encouraging them that it's about, doing it slowly, deciding what you do want. So if your ultimate goal is to have, say, an $80,000 a year income so you can leave your job, then it's, well, let's look at how many customers, what are you charging? How many customers do you actually need to replace that income? Where are you going to get those customers from? How many do you have to speak to get 200 customers a year? So do you have to speak to 100,000 people in a social media environment to bring 200 of them to your clinic? And it's just knowing the numbers, knowing the stats, and knowing where you're finding those people.
Absolutely. Good messages, Maggie. And if you don't know your business, how do you know what you need to do to make your business work? Is always the thing, isn't it? Absolutely. Now you specialize. Did you specialize quite early on in your practice? So I know the weight loss is a big thing for you. Did that come later or? Later,
no. Probably. When did the book come out? It was about 4 years ago. I'd specialized. I'd obviously looked at my audience and realized that the majority of them were women aged between 30 and 60, and that the majority of queries that were coming in were about eating, emotionally, stress eating, and of course weight was attached to that. And so I'd drafted a book and kept thinking, I'll do it one day. And that's when my business got to the point where I'd had applied for a government contract with North Coast Aboriginal Services and got that. It had gone really, really well. And they'd expanded from stop smoking to counselling and health services and weight loss and lots of other things. So I was incredibly busy, very, very stressed, subcontracting out to other practitioners. And I realized I'd created this monster that I was working kind of 80 hours a week, 90 hours a week, stressed out of my head, and, just getting sick. I ended up back in hospital. And so I just decided that I was going to stop. I gave the contract away to one of my practitioners who wanted it, and redefine my business. And that's where I decided that I was going to produce the book and specialize for a period of time. Now, one of the things I want to say about specialization, if somebody's kind of fighting with that at the moment, because I hear that from practitioners a lot, but that I don't want to get known just for that because I enjoy doing this or I'm good at that. A lot of the messages out there are about that you should specialize, and I agree entirely, but specialize in a different way. Rather than just saying I'm going to specialize in weight loss or specialize in addiction or specialize in hypnobirthing, what I did was I created a transformational system that was able to be transferred across to multiple specializations. So I looked at the work that I was doing with clients, and I realized I was using a very, very structured, specific technique. So I looked at all of my training and I brought it down into what I call CPR brain training. So control what's not working, program what you want, and rewire until it's permanent. And I looked at that CPR brain training and went, well, that works for weight loss. It works for emotional eating. It works for addiction. It works for stress. It works for depression. It works for anxiety. What do I have a natural inclination to do? How many customers are already on my database? And I realized it was mainly weight loss and eating issues. Okay. So I finished the book, produced that with the undercurrent of the CPR brain training in it. And I talked about and hinted at other challenges that it could address in that book. So people knew I was specializing in weight loss there. But when I was ready to move to, say, anxiety, I could transfer the success of that book into my message on anxiety. I transferred the success because it's the CPR brain training that was at the core.
Sure. Yes.
So yes, specialize, but you don't have to. If you don't want to see yourself as just the hypnobirthing specialist or just the weight loss specialist, then create a transformational system that is your own first.
Yeah.
And then begin by focusing and specializing in one area and make it so I've got a longevity in my business now.
Absolutely. That's stunning, Maggie. That's awesome. Yes, absolutely. And, that would be brilliant to talk about on my other show, which is Saving Time, Energy and Money in Business, how to be productive and efficient in business, because that is the epitome of being efficient, isn't it? It's not having to reinvent the wheel with every kind of issue that you work with. It's saying, look, I have a system that can be flexible, but it is quite structured and it can work across the board no matter. And then you can take clients from any domain, from any issue, but at the same time, you're able to still work with them in a way that suits you, that works well for the way you work.
And that you become known for as well. So then all of a sudden you become an expert in that transformational system. Yeah. You then become an expert to the industry itself, as well as you have a core following. I have thousands of people that follow the work that I do and use it for everything. They've been with me from depression to weight loss to anxiety. They've been then come with me to their kids' exam stress. They've come with me to addiction. And they've followed it because of the system, not because of the specialization.
And you also now teach that system, is that right? You offer a training for people to learn how to do that as well?
I've been teaching the certificate and the diploma of clinical hypnosis for about 7 years or so at various levels, both with my own college and with through other colleges in Australia. Yeah. But I actually what I really love doing is teaching enhanced techniques for the incorporating neuroscience into hypnosis so that the practitioner understands the incredibly strong link and how to express that to their client, how to express that to a patient in a way that they're going to understand, and to give them the tools. So yes, I have little programs on teaching the CPR system within weight loss, the CPR system within addiction, within autoimmune disease.
Great, awesome.
In helping practitioners manage their clients' flares and pain and all of that kind of stuff.
Yeah. That's awesome. Hey, we've got our money's worth today with you, Maggie, honestly. If I were charging. No, this is going to be awesome because this is just what people need when they're starting out. Yes, some of this is advanced stuff. Some of this is down the road. You're not quite there yet, but starting small, starting in the beginning, and some of those early days are crucial for setting yourself up for later.
In the early days, it's about recognizing no matter what you've been told in your original training, yes, you can replace your income doing this, but it takes time to build up. Unless you've already got an existing database of people that you have a relationship with, it's going to take you time and patience to build it up, and commitment to what you want to do to help people to overcome. So in your own mind, just get a little clear on that. Maybe it's a 6-month commitment at first to build it up to 1 day a week where you're full in that day and you can be confident that you're booked out for a couple of weeks, and then introduce maybe a day and a half or 2 days and expand it from there. And in the early days, sometimes it's actually worth going to, rather than opening your own space in your home, going and joining a bigger practice that has multiple modalities that are in alignment, not in competition, but in alignment. So massage, chiropractic, what's the needle one? Acupuncture. Yeah. Kinesiology.
And a lot of psychologists. You know, I get a lot of referrals from psychologists. If you can be in a practice where there's a lot of people.
Yeah. I have an open policy as well. If you can get a room there, you'll go and develop relationships with those other practitioners. I used it when I went, one of the things I did when I first started was actually went and offered each of the practitioners, no matter what their modality was, a complimentary session to show them what I did.
Great.
To show them how it worked, what to expect, so that they could explain that to their own patients as well.
Absolutely. If they like it, they're more likely to refer, aren't they? More likely to recommend.
Absolutely.
It's the way to do it. Oh, well, we've got to go now, Maggie, but I really do appreciate you coming on today. And it's great to meet you. We've spoken in the past. I've seen you around, but never had the chance to actually really meet you. So it's a pleasure to meet you at last. Where can people get hold of you, Maggie, whether that be clients or your trainees? What's the best place for people to contact you?
My main website is thepotentialist.com. So thepotentialist.com. But I also have my online courses, and there's a free CPR brain training kit that people can trial on the mindpotentialacademy.com site. And so they can register for a free, I think it's a sweet craving CPR kit, so you can get an idea of what that is.
Awesome. I will put those links on the show notes for everyone to see.
Thank you.
So lovely thanks again. It's been a pleasure, and look forward to seeing you again. And have a great day. Have a productive day. I'm sure you will.
See you soon. Bye.
Take care. Bye. Well, hey guys, thanks to Maggie for joining us today. It's a pleasure to have talented and very experienced people on the show. And, there's some great insights that you can take from this. So I urge you to watch and watch and watch and watch again. Take what you can. And, it's important in those early days, especially, to take what advice you can. But it ultimately is stay in there, stick in there, regardless of whether you think it's not working. And also to remember, it's got to work for you. You can't always do what everyone else is doing. It doesn't work for everyone else, what you want to do. So, and what everyone else is doing doesn't work for you. So it's ultimately knowing what you need, what you want to get out of this. So yes, that's a great show. Thanks for joining us. I will be sharing the show notes for Maggie's links after this show. All the best. Have a great day. See you again soon. Bye-bye.